Hey guys, welcome into another episode of 410 Sports Talk. We're really excited, as the title says. We're going to get into a 7-round mock for the Baltimore Ravens. Naturally, based on the fact that we cover the Ravens. But I'm James Haskell. This is my co-host Glenn Martin. If you didn't know us, if you're new to the show, welcome to the show. But before we do, and one of the things I want to mention too is that not only we're going to give our 7-round mocks each, Glenn and I both, we're also going to have DraftPlex come in in about 20 minutes or so to grade the draft based on which one he thinks is closer to what the Ravens will do. Not necessarily which one he prefers, but we're going for accuracy here, guys.
Yep.
This
isn't. Let me just clarify that this isn't what we hope that they'll do, because then we could get really crazy. This is what we expect, and we're trying to anticipate what the Ravens will actually do. Yeah. And we're probably going to be completely wrong, but we're excited to do it. I hope that are we going to make this a competition and that we're going to ask DraftPlex to then declare one of us the winner?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And now now this is a preliminary win, because if one of us wins now, we still have to wait and see how it goes in the end. So
absolutely. And the other thing too, a couple other rules to this draft. One is we didn't trade. For example, Glenn, you and I were talking about that between pick 58 in the second round and pick 104 in the third. Seems like a heck of a long time for Eric DeCosta to be sitting on his hands. I think we pick up a pick between there. I also think, the Orlando Brown situation could change this draft completely. Mm-hmm. So those are two caveats we want to throw out there. We're not considering Orlando Brown. We're not trading, because then, there's just so many ways, so many rabbit holes you can get stuck in. We're sticking and picking.
Yeah, and it's tough too, because that first pick, I could see, there's a handful of guys there that I could see them taking.
Yep.
And so we had to whittle it down to one. And the first round pick was just as difficult, if not more, than the 7th or the 6th round pick that I had to come up with. So hopefully I can we're somewhat accurate to what they, at least position wise, what they go with.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the last thing I'll say is we'll have DraftPlex come in. We're not doing trades. We're not doing Leonard Brown. I was going to say something else. Oh, you know what I was going to say before we get into the draft, just really quickly. All right.
I read into what you were. Yeah, I
Tom
understand.
Brady is upset because they changed the number rule in the NFL. And he said, good luck identifying defenders. Tom, I'm sorry that not everyone has cataracts. Okay. I'm sorry that not everyone. But look, you're the greatest of all time, undisputed, right? Like, even I will say that, and I hate Tom Brady because I think he's a whiner. But, dude, come on, man. Look, this happens in college. It's not like this is you know what I mean? Like, you've never seen a linebacker wear number 8 before. Sorry that maybe when you were in college, I don't know if that was Roman numerals or like what the situation was then. But come on, Glenn, you can't tell me that even the biggest Tom Brady fan has to look at this and be like, dude, really?
Look, I am impressed by this, actually, and I'll tell you why.
You're impressed by Tom?
Yeah, I'm impressed. This is another moment in which he's impressed me. I know you're not going to like this take, but let me tell you why it impresses me. How many Super Bowls has this guy got, and how many has he been to? And the fact that he still gets this fired up over the stinking numbers is impressive to me. The fact that he cares this much makes me, it's impressive. He's done it all. He's the GOAT
of all time. Why is he worried about it? You see what I'm saying?
Right, I agree. It's kind of silly. He said that this could lead to some bad football.
Oh yeah, come on. And he said it could be dangerous for offensive players. Tom, every single rule, just newsflash, Tom Brady, every single rule has been made to give an advantage to you and the offensive players. I'm pretty sure that the hit below the knee situation was all made because of Tom Brady. So, Tom,
there's a few rules.
Go enjoy your Super Bowl ring and shut your mouth.
Yeah, I think it's silly that he's crying about it, but the fact that he's still so passionate that he cares this strongly is kind of impressive. It's like,
it's weird because usually the guys, the old heads, are in the media already, and they're talking about, this seems like a comment that an old, a former player would make, because most of them are Tom's age. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, or younger, a little bit younger.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So he liked my Roman numeral comment. Roman numeral comment. No pun intended when it comes to Greg Roman. I said
Man,
Roman.
you
Did you hear what I
gotta,
said? Roman numeral.
yeah,
Like,
you're so hard on Tom, and I, that's okay. That's all right because that's just who you are, and a lot
Yep.
of people are hard on Tom, and that's all right. I'm not a Brady fan, but I recognize greatness and I appreciate greatness, which is why I was kind of rooting for Gonzaga to win the tournament just so I could say I saw it with my
I was
own
rooting
eyes.
for them too.
Yeah, I mean, I like greatness, and there's no doubt he's a beast. But yeah, so the reason he doesn't like the rule is just to clarify for some of the commenters. Dylan asks, he doesn't like it because he likes to be able to quickly identify a position that the player plays on defense, and he does that by just looking at their number, and he knows, okay, that's a defensive back, okay, that's a linebacker. Well, now that it's going to be some gray area there, and you're not going to really be sure as to which position they play, which. He makes decisions faster than maybe anyone in the league, so maybe that helps him make that quick decision. But I don't know exactly why it bugged him so much because, man, it bugged him. I mean, he was pissed about it. He did not seem happy. He said, dumb. This is a stupid rule. I mean, he was very vocal. So it was kind of funny that he said that. But, I mean, whatever. Let the guys have whatever number they want.
I'll tell you what. At the end of the day, if I'm a defensive player, if I'm the Ravens, I'm telling every single defensive player, change your number.
Just to bug Brady. We're not going to see Brady very often.
Brady, because he brings up a point. Like, there could be a bit of strategy there, at least for the first few games.
Yeah.
Like, change it. Give it a shot, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it'll give you an advantage for 2 games at best. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But, I mean, he's like, why do we even wear numbers? Let's take all the numbers off. We'll just wear colored jerseys. He was so upset.
Oh, my gosh.
And it's just funny to me that he's still so passionate, despite the fact that he's already won how many Super Bowls? Been to 10 of them? I mean, 11.
You see what Bill pump up the ball and play, Tom?
Oh, that's the best.
That's awesome. Shout out. So anyway, I didn't want to spend too much time there, but we liked for everyone to get in the room. For those that are showing up late, I think we got some good numbers. So
yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to get into this, and I'm hopeful. I don't want to spoil any of it, but I will say this. I saw somebody earlier bring up Dyami Brown, which, by the way, it's not Dynami. I kept putting an N in there. It's Dyami. And I just want to say I finally did watch tape on that guy, and he is the more I watched him, it's like the more I liked him. I just every play I liked him more and more. No, I just wanted to say that I did watch him because I know a lot of times I'll write down names and I try to get to all of them, but I finally did get to Dyami. And that guy can play, man. He can certainly ball. But let's get into it, Jimbo. Where are we starting? Yep. Are we starting right off the top?
Right off the top, baby. So this is what we're going to do. We'll go back and forth. We'll give a brief description as to what it is that's, if there was anything in particular that sold us on the guy in the reading that you've done or the film study. But we won't make it crazy long-winded or anything like that. We'll go back and forth with our picks and go from there. So, Glenn, I'll let you start.
Okay.
And I think this is going to be one heck of a ride. So I'm excited for this. So, Glenn, all you, my man.
Okay. So with the 27th pick, I predict that the Baltimore Ravens will select Tevin Jenkins, offensive tackle out of Oklahoma State. And the reason I predicted this is because I think a trade is a brewing. Somebody pointed out in our comments after we did the show, John, I think it was Cam Wee, who's a frequent watcher and commenter, that Andrews and Orlando Brown have the same agent. So they have more than just the Oklahoma connection. They also have they share an agent. And when you pointed out that he had the Instagram post that he later removed, shouting out Orlando Brown and kind of almost looked like a farewell to him, made me think that he heard some insider information and that Orlando Brown is on his way out. So I'm predicting that he will be gone. And if he's gone, we need a tackle that's ready to step in and play day one. And Tevin Jenkins, I mean, the guy is – you just look at any scouting report, and it's the funnest read you'll ever see. Grown man strength, tosses smaller defenders like they're children, impressive strength in his hands and upper body. He imposes his will when he gets a hold of a guy. He's crafty with his hands. The only knock on him is he's not particularly fleet of foot. Oh, that's fine. I mean, that's fine. He's 6'6". He's 320 pounds. He's mean. He's nasty. This guy would slide in day one, and we would be absolutely happy and feel good about him being on the right side, protecting Lamar. And I mean, as a run game, the guy is terrifying. I mean, he's absolutely terrifying. Nobody would want to get in front of him if he's moving forward. And the cool thing about him is he got better, markedly better every single season. So the guy shows that he can continue to improve and improve. And it's not a guy who's tapped out all of his potential just in college. So I think they go Tevin Jenkins tackle, and he's a day one starter on the right side.
Love it. And that was the first guy I fell in love with watching tape that we talked about. So it's funny that, I think my pick is going to be one of the first guys that you fell in love with here. So, but before we continue, what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our resident expert, Jason Pruett from DraftPlex. I'm sure that you guys have been taking a look at, his board. He has got his big board, his positional rankings. I know I used a lot of the information on DraftPlex on the site to build my list. So without any further ado, Jason, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good, guys. 1 week away.
That's right.
I know you can't wait. Oh my goodness.
We'll be picking next time this week.
That's right. So where we're at right now is we're going back and forth. Glenn has made his first pick. I'm pretty sure you heard him. He took Tevin Jenkins with his first pick. I'm getting ready to announce mine. So what we've done is a couple things. We know the Orlando Brown Jr. thing is looming. We know that trades, I think, most likely will happen based on the Ravens' history, but we are sticking and picking. Not, no trades in this one. We're just rolling with it. So with the 27th pick, I believe he will be there because of medical. Jalen Phillips, the edge defender out of Miami. I think the Ravens made it clear by the way that they've approached free agency thus far and their Liars Luncheon that priority number one is edge. Solely for two reasons. One, based on number of guys we have there that have produced in the NFL, right? And then of course, the guys that we lost, and on top of that, the comments that were made, the players they identified, the way that Ortiz broke down how there's players in every round that they like as far as the edge goes. And this guy has all the skills. Obviously the medical with the former head injury or the previous head injuries, I think will push him down, but I think he'll be there. So that's my round one pick. We're going to move on to,
well, hold on. While we have
stop at the end of round
here,
one, and then we'll go. Okay.
Yeah, we'll each do our pick, and then we'll ask Jason to let us know what he thinks. So, Jason, I took Tevin Jenkins. He takes Jalen Phillips.
Yeah. Now your job, Jason, is declare winners here.
Yeah, and just so you know, we're going for accuracy. We're not going what we hope the Ravens do. We're going what we think the Ravens will do.
Yeah,
and also, we got to make sure these guys will still be there. Now, I know both of these guys I've seen in mocks have gone ahead of 27. I've also seen them go behind. So what do you think about me taking Tevin Jenkins and him going Jalen Phillips?
If you were to ask me today, like I know Jalen Phillips, like without the medical, like everybody sees him a lot higher, but I think there's a better chance that he's going to be there at 27 than Tevin Jenkins, because I think with Tevin Jenkins, you have to clear a minefield with Chicago, with Indianapolis, with Tennessee, with Pittsburgh, even Jacksonville to a degree. Like those teams are all at least going to consider, I think, a tackle. I mean, Indianapolis needs a left, and I know, there's been a lot of talk. Like everybody's flip-flopping these guys, but like that's a difficult thing to do even when you get into the league. Like it's learning how to write left-handed if you're right-handed. It's doing everything the opposite way. So I'm not necessarily comfortable with Tevin Jenkins. You were speaking about him, not being the most fleet of foot. I mean, I see him as a right tackle. If anything, his second position is going to be guard. That said, Indianapolis, they might move. They've talked about moving Quentin Nelson to left tackle, possibly, depending on what they do. So they're a little bit of a wild card, but they're also looking at edge too. So Jalen Phillips could be a possibility for them. So I think I'm going to weigh these two equally. But I would have to say Jalen Phillips is probably the better bet to be there at 27. But I like both of the picks. I mean, you guys are hitting the needs, and you're hitting good players with it. So, but I think Tevin Jenkins, it's going to be, unless you see some movement for quarterbacks there, maybe Chicago makes a move depending on one of these guys falls.
Sounds right.
I'm banking on Pittsburgh taking Najee Harris or something in the first. Something.
Yeah.
Goofy.
Yeah, that I'm not saying at all that any one of those teams will take a tackle, but that would be the clearing the minefield if they do and they go a different direction. If Chicago goes with a quarterback, or if they try to trade up for a quarterback, if Indy goes with an edge, if Pittsburgh goes with the running back, then Tevin Jenkins might be in the clear. But the other team you have to go even higher to think about is the Raiders, who shipped their right tackle off back to New England, where he got signed from. Tevin Jenkins feels, he's got a little bit of nasty to him. You can see Gruden liking that, and I know that seems a little rich there at 17. And you can, the Raiders are such a wild card every year. But I would say, yeah, Mayock, you could see him liking. I could see him just gushing over Tevin Jenkins. So
what's there not to like about him? I'm curious because he looks. I mean, what's the knock on him other than maybe he's a little slow at foot?
I think it's only that he's primarily going to be a right tackle. I really think that's all it is. I mean, left tackle is valued, but I mean, you see so many good edge rushers going off the left-hand side now, right. And it's kind of their equal. So to me, he's right underneath that Rashawn Slater, Penei Sewell. I mean, after that, it's him and Darisaw, and some people don't like Darisaw either. And I've seen him talked about being a left tackle moving to right. So, I mean, it's a little bit, it's a little Wild West out there with these tackles. Everybody wants to do something. Even with Sewell and Slater, they're talking about, well, they could come in and play guard to start, or they could flip over to the right side. Pick a guy that you can put him in a spot, and I think that's going to be the best bet for any of these guys.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be happy with Jalen Phillips. I mean, that's a guy I think I was really high on. It's kind of interesting. We flipped. I was super high on him early, right? And he was big on Jenkins early, and then somehow we do our mock and we end up with each other's guys. Well, I think it's just because what happens is when Glenn brought up Jalen Phillips to me, I was like, all right, I got to watch more tape on this guy because he's high. There must be a reason. And then probably there's a little bit of that happening. But we'll go right to let's see, what is it, the 53rd pick we got coming up? 58. 58. I would say 53rd. 58. All right, so I'm going to go first here, Glenn. All right, lead us off.
And I'm going to surprise you guys with this one. I'm going to explain myself. I'm going with Quinn Miners.
Okay, I like that.
As the 58th pick. And let me explain why. One, because I tried so hard to like Creed. I think Landon is going to be gone by 58. I think he'll be gone. So really between him and Creed, I tried so hard, but Creed, and I hate to use this word because he's a football player. He seems too soft to be a Raven for me. Quinn Miners is just an absolute mauler. I mean, he is just a mauler. He's mean. He's nasty. Have you seen his clothing brand, Belly of the Beast, that his cousin started after the whole belly shirt at the
Senior Bowl?
At the Senior Bowl.
Now, are these full shirts or it's just the hat?
It's funny because they're hoodies, and then he's got tank tops, but no belly shirts, right? It should be like
what's going on here? Right? Yeah, what's up with that?
So I like this kid, and this is also why. And somebody else mentioned it, and they talked about our Liars Luncheon. There's a possibility that Bozeman slides in at center, and that's fine because Quinn Miners was a guard in college. Yeah. So to me, it provides you with improvement on the line because I think at the end of the day, it's about playing your best five, but it also still keeps some flexibility there. Where I think if you get Creed, you plug him in at center, and you have a little bit. You're more limited when it comes to your flexibility. But Quinn, you feel safe playing in both places. So I'm going Quinn Miners, Wisconsin Whitewater Warhawks. And 58th pick for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I like him. I tell you, Jason, you'd be the expert to ask about. Is there any guy who made a bigger leap from a Senior Bowl appearance than Quinn Miners made?
Not going to be this year. If you're talking about overall, I think Jamin Davis wins that because I have him. On my public board, I have the guys slotted, color coded for each. But on my work board, I see where I started them out at. And he's the only one that's jumped, from like 3 tiers over from where I started. So that I would say but as far as a Senior Bowl, no, not at all. I don't think Quinn Miners wasn't even on anybody's radar coming into it, and he wouldn't even been in the Senior Bowl. So I've heard, unless Landon didn't tear his ACL.
Wow. 0-star recruit.
Yeah. Crazy. So it's wild to see where he's at now because I think he's firmly a 2nd round pick.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like you got a good grade there. Well, I hope to keep it going here. It's weird. I'm nervous about announcing my pick to the people and to Jason. I'm hoping that this goes well. But my pick is going to be an edge rusher. I finally decide to dip into what most considered to be our biggest area of need. I'm going to go Joe Tryon, edge out of Washington. And I like the guy. I mean, he's got the prototypical size that the Ravens are looking for. He's 6'5", 262. He's got some length. He's got some bull rush ability. I'm a big fan of the kid. I mean, I think that they need to address the position. There's no doubt about it. I'm interested to see Jason's take on where I got him, because I know some people have him slated a little bit of a lower, and then I saw a mock that had him going in the first round. So I think this is a guy that can be found in, or depending on which mock you look at, he could be a first round, second round, third round, or even later in some. But yeah, I think he's explosive. I think he's a bit of a wild card coming off the edge, in the sense that sometimes he just, he just comes with a lot of energy, and it's not really sure where it's directed at sometimes. But I think Joe Tryon would be a perfect guy to bring in here, add some youth to the room. We got a lot of aging guys there. And yeah, I'm a big fan of Joe Tryon. So what do you think about Joe, Jason?
Yeah, I like him a lot, and coming back around to him again, I've bumped him up into my top 40 actually, and I think where things kind of stand, and at least what I've been reading and hearing is that if you want him, you may have to take him at 27.
Wow.
So I don't know necessarily that he's going to get all the way to the second round for where the Ravens pick. But if he's there, which he certainly can be, because you have to look at, he was an opt-out. And this class of edge rushers is so, all over the board. There's probably 6 to 8 of them that could go in any order once we actually get to the draft. And that could be first round, that could be second round. So I think he could very well be sitting there for the Ravens. And I think he has the size. You're right. He is a little bit of a bull in a china shop kind of with his rush, but he's got power. He's got speed. He can bend the edge. So I think that would be a great pick if the Ravens would get there. That'd be great value there at the second round.
Nice. All right. Well, that's like 2 guys that I have that might already be gone, but let me see if I can go for the third. Jimmy, if you don't mind, I'll start on the third round pick. And this is kind of a lot of like what you liked in Quinn Miners. I'm expecting with all the talk that they're actually going to give Bozeman a decent look at center. At least that's what I'm hoping for. So the guy I'm looking for has to have some positional versatility. I want a guy who can play both guard and center. So I went Kendrick Green out of Illinois, listed as a guard here, but has played both and can play both. He's 6'4", 315. I like his quickness out of his stance. I like the fact that, I mentioned you got to have versatility if you're going to play on the interior, it seems like, on the offensive line in Baltimore. That's what it looks like by who they've been drafting as of late. So I'm excited about him. I think that he could come in and really compete for either left guard or center. Obviously, the right guard position is solidified with Zeitler. So there's an opportunity to play either of those positions depending on which one looks better between him and Bozeman. So I got Kendrick Green, guard out of Illinois. Let me know what you think, Jason. How'd I do there?
Yeah, I think you're right there with where he's going to go. I think you're looking at, late third round, possibly early fourth, depending on where a team wants to play him, because he does have the center guard versatility. And there are a lot of guards, I think, that are going to be kind of log jammed right there. I think you could look at 6 or 8 different guys, depending on where you want to play. Vera Tucker, I think, is going to be a guard. He played tackle this last year, but he's going to start. He's the top of the board. But after that, you have Banks from Notre Dame. You have, Deontay Brown from Alabama, Trey Smith, Tennessee. A big collection of guys that are going to be right there in that third, fourth round range. And I think Kendrick Green, I like him a lot. I have him in my top 100. But that's going to be right there depending on whether a team sees him as a guard or a center. So I think if the Ravens were having him in third round, I think that's a great pick.
Nice.
All right. I like it too. So, all right. I've been bringing up this guy a lot, and I'm going to stick with him now. It's funny because I've seen him all the way down the 5th round, but I think you have him, Jason, listed as a 2 to 3 guy on your site. So I think at the bottom of the 3rd, which is where we're drafting, remember, guys, this is the 104th pick. So this is the bottom of the 3rd round while it's still the 3rd round. So I'm taking tackle out of BYU, Brady Christensen, 6'6", 300 pounds. Like I said before, I think if you have a quarterback that's getting drafted in the top 5, you got to look at the guys he's got up front and who's protecting him. I think that he was a big piece of the ascension of Zach Wilson and giving him time back there. He's got back-to-back years of elite grades in pass protection. His technique is NFL ready. One of the things I really like, and I think this has to do with his maturity and being a little older, he's 25-year-old 25-year-old draftee. So he lets defenders declare their intentions. So he's not antsy, like he's not jittery. He'll let their guys make their moves, and then when he gets a hold of them, he doesn't let them go. So I think that, Glenn, kind of addressing your issue with Tevin Jenkins, I just do it in a little bit of a different way. Go with Brady Christensen, who I think you can plug in. He's going to be a leader. He's going to be, a quasi-veteran presence based on, him being a little older. I think he'll be completely concentrated there. Come in and start at right tackle day one. So that's my guy, Brady Christensen. Some people might think it's a reach in the 3rd round, but it's the bottom of the 3rd. I think it's a solid pick.
No, I don't think that's a reach at all. And actually, when I did my 7-round mock draft, I did end up getting him in the 4th. I don't remember who it was that I think it might have been Jacksonville. So I think that's going to play in there. I think the age, and then also he's a little bit short-armed. It doesn't seem to affect him on tape, but you know how these scouts think about that kind of thing.
Right.
So I think that would be a good pick there. I could see him definitely, because I have him kind of in that 10 to 12 range on the tackles, and I think that's going to be the limit of how many go in like the top 100. So depending on if a Walker Little or a Spencer Brown, one of these guys, for whatever reason or another, Walker Little, he was a borderline 1st-round projection 2 years ago when he last played football for real. And then, you look at these other guys that are a little bit more developmental. Like I said, Spencer Brown, who a lot of tools, just very tall in northern Iowa, so lower level of competition, but definitely developmental tackle that I see probably going. He's kind of that fringe 100, top 100. So Brady Christensen could definitely be right in that mix for the Ravens there in the 3rd round.
All right, Glenn. So I'm going to keep going. Is that cool?
We had a good 3rd round. It looks like.
Yeah. So far. so in the 4th round, pick 131. I'm interested to see what you Glenn, and then Jason think about this pick. And I'm going to butcher this guy's name, but let me pull him up real quick. So I'm going edge again. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to freak out. We've seen the comments. I have not taken a wide receiver yet. That's right. I've taken 2 linemen. I've taken an edge and 2 linemen. All right.
Yeah. Yep.
I think it gets done in the trenches. That's
I did the same thing, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. So,
here we go.
So, sorry guys. No wide receivers. Like Glenn said at the beginning, as if you guys hopped in late, this is what we think the Ravens will do, not 100% what we think we will do.
What we hope they do, right? Exactly.
Yeah, not 100% what we hope they'll do. Yeah, thank you. So I'm going with the edge defender Joshua Kinda. Is that how you say it? Kando out of Florida State. He's 6'7", 265 pounds. And the really cool part about this that I liked is that it says here the bend at his size is unheard of. Now he does have he gets under linemen. He has the ability, even though he's tall, to get under linemen. Even though he's 6'7", there's guys a lot of times that are maybe 3-4 inches shorter than him. He still has the ability to get under him. He has a good bull rush, a good swim, a powerful lower half, and he can walk linemen back. Of course, he has some knocks. It says, it's in one of the reports that I'm reading, it says that the game is a little too fast for him sometimes, and that his balance can be iffy. It might be a bad part about being, 6'7" as an edge rusher. But I like this kid and the plays that he makes on tape. I think that he's there. Every single year he graded better. So I'm going with Joshua Kindo out of Florida State, the Seminoles. Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, he'll be there. But yeah, I think to your point, like he's more of a developmental kind of pass rusher, because it's one of these guys that athletically the gifts are there, but just never put it all together there at Florida State. And, I've heard a couple of reasons why that might be with, coaching changes and scheme and that kind of deal. And, him and Robinson, who's the other Florida State edge, Janarius Robinson, they're kind of in that same boat. I like Robinson a little bit better, but I think they're both going to be in that mix because of the tools you have to work with. Is that, this kind of just ball of clay that you can mold. You look at like a couple of years ago, the Eagles took Josh Sweat out of Florida State, ironically enough. And I consider that kind of a similar player who's, got the size, got the length, you got the flashes that you like and you think you can maybe do something with. So in the fourth round, I think once you get out of the top 100 and you get out of the third round and get in the fourth round, you start looking at traits, and he definitely has those.
Now, let me ask you real quick before you make your pick, Glenn. Who do you prefer between my pick and Quincy Roche out of Miami? Because I was between the two.
You're asking me or Glenn?
Yeah.
I like Quincy Roche better, but it's kind of that same deal where he's more of a high motor, try hard, just relentless kind of pass rusher, but he just doesn't have that size. He's kind of, I think, 6'2", 245 or so.
He's a little small.
Yeah, he's an undersized edge rusher, so you worry about that in the run game. So you kind of have to put him in a position to almost be like a designated pass rusher. But of the two, I liked Roche better.
All right, take it.
All right, well, I'm going to go with my fourth round pick, and I'm going to go Trey Brown, cornerback out of Oklahoma. And the reason is he, to me, looks like a perfect slot corner to step in there when the inevitable Tavon Young injury occurs. And what I like about him is that although he's a smaller guy, I think he's listed at 5'10". I think most would say he's more 5'9", and just 186 pounds. But what I liked about him is that he was beating guys up that were much bigger than him at the line. I mean, he's a competitor. He's a little nasty. I love the competitive nature that he brings to that position. He's not scared to mix it up, with a bigger guy on tape. I know he played some outside and some inside, but I'm projecting him to be more of an inside guy. I like that he's a man cover guy, which we know that the Ravens like to man up on you and then go after you in the trenches. So I think this guy will be a perfect guy to come in and learn and then quickly be inserted into some quality time when Tavon ultimately gets hurt. I hope I'm wrong about that, but just going off of his history, I expect Tavon at some point to go down, and it'd be nice to have a true slot corner like Trey Brown ready to go in and take his place. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, I think you're right there in terms of a fourth round slot corner, specifically because of the size. And I think that's the main knock with Trey Brown, because he definitely has the speed. He's got the cover ability. But 5'10", 190, it's odd though, because like that's the receiver size is trending down too. So, I mean, you look at the slot, we're not playing 6'3" guys in the slot. So you don't really worry about that. Now I'd probably worry a little bit if I had to be in a position of having to put him on the outside, because I don't know that he's going to survive that well out there. But if you're looking for a slot corner, you can definitely do a lot worse than Trey Brown in the fourth round.
Nice. All right, well, I like hearing that.
Glenn, I was going to say, I think that your pick presents a lot of value and you talked about this in that how many years have we seen Marlon have to switch to the inside, right? And he still excels and still plays really well. And that was part of the reason I was really trying hard in the second round to take Elijah Molden out of Washington, because I thought, man, if we can just throw him in there at slot and don't you have to think about, sliding Humphreys in there, Humphrey in there, when Tavon inevitably gets hurt,
because it's going to happen. Awesome. And I'm tired of guys going out of position. For people say he's too small, let me remind you of the size of Tavon Young, who, despite injuries, was given a monster second contract and paid as one of the highest paid slot corners in the league. He's 5'9", 185. Yeah. And Trey Brown is listed at 5'10", 186. So for those saying that, he's too small to be drafted by the Ravens, well, I don't think that's correct, because Tavon Young was not only drafted but given a second contract and one of the higher paid slot corners in NFL history. So I think he's perfect for that position. But all right, Jimbo, what do you got at 171 in the fifth round?
Sure. So I'm going to get grilled for this one, but that's all right.
All right, good.
I'm taking a receiver. I'm taking a receiver. And I can't say I'm going to need help, Jason. I'm going to need help with this name too. But Simi Fehoko out of Stanford. Nice. All right, Simi Fehoko out of Stanford, 6'4", 227 pounds. He's a physical specimen. I mean, you don't see guys with tools like this every day. Of course, his knock is really he's raw. His route tree is extremely limited. He's he's not very technically sound. He only had 4 catches and 4 starts and 62 career catches. So a lot of little experience and some ugly drops last year, which is another problem. So, but at the same time, I think in this draft, you'd be hard pressed to find someone with better physical gifts than Simi. And so even guys all the way at the top, as far as putting him up on a chart and saying, let's create, like in Madden, I don't even know if you do this in Madden because I don't play Madden, but let's build a receiver, right? Like let's build one. He's going to look like this guy. Now he's going to be a better route runner. He's going to have better hands, things like that. But look, we just got T Martin and oh my gosh, Keith Williams. We got, that's it. Yeah. T Martin and Keith Williams. So we're counting on those guys to develop these players. And so we want a big body guy. We want a guy that can go out and high point the ball. So we're going to take the guy with the best physical gifts in the draft of the wide receiver class. So I'm going Simi Fehoko.
There you go. Yeah, I actually think he's going to go higher than this. I think, at least what I've seen, I'm not going to do it, but I've seen him getting put in top 100s. I think 4th round is probably where you're going to go. He is a little bit of a project, like you said, but at that size and also running, I think a 4.37, that's something that's going to.
The Raiders might take him in the 1st round, right?
Yeah. So if I were to get him at 171, I'd be perfectly okay with that. Because again, we're looking at traits here. So at 171, You got a bigger guy who can jet. You probably put him on special teams as well. So, I mean, I think that would be a good value there at 171 if he's still around.
Nice.
All right. Well, I mean, I would be happy with that. I think that's the type of player that would get fans a little excited because of the intangibles that he does have, the measurables that he does have. I think that would be exciting, and hopefully Keith Williams could turn him into the future number 1. I went a little bit more of a conservative route at 171, also taking a wide receiver. And I decided to go with this guy because I think they need someone who's ready a little bit quicker. I think that they needed to add somebody there that's ready to step in and play now. I like the physicality of this guy. I'm going to go Cornell Powell, wide receiver out of Clemson. And what I like about him, he's got that high point ability. He's got that he can win those 50-50 balls. He wins with his strength, his physicality. And I know people were questioning his speed. He did run a 4.46, I believe, at his pro day, which I think is fast enough. He's not, a 4.3 burner, but I think it's fast enough. And I think he can win more with his physicality. And I'm hoping that carries over to the next level. I know I think he's a little older, if I remember right. Yeah, he's a little bit of an older guy. He is a senior. So that worries me a little bit. And I think that, is the reason why he slides to where he does. He had some guys ahead of him that really made it hard for him to get on the field and get some quality reps at Clemson. He finally did this past season, and I think he took advantage of it. So I'm going to go with Cornell Powell, wide receiver out of Clemson, who I think he clocked in at 6 foot 210. What do you think about that one, Jason?
Yeah, I love it. In my 7th round, I gave him to the Ravens at 131. So I think, again, depending on the flavors of ice cream with these wide receivers that teams like, he could go, I think, early 4th round. He could go late 4th round into the 5th, possibly, again, depending on what teams look at for each of these receivers. But I love Cornell Powell. Like, when I looked at him going through, I was like, he's a Raven. Like, he's physically, the things he does on the field. And you're right, he didn't get onto the field really until this past year. I'm looking at Dane Brugler's draft guide now. Up until 2020, 0 starts, but he had 12 this year, 53 receptions, 882 yards, and 7 touchdowns. I don't think he's going to be a number 1, but he could definitely have a ceiling as a number 2 receiver. So I like Cornell Powell there.
Nice. Sorry, I'm on a little bit of a burner now, Jimbo. Yeah. I got a few likes in a row, and guys that are expected to actually be there after going a little high or taking
a little rich bit. At the beginning, huh?
Yeah, I was getting a little greedy in the beginning, but I'm going on a good little heater here. All right, so if you don't mind, Jimbo, I'm gonna jump it at 184 and go with my guy. All right, so at 184, let me just pull up my paper here. I'm going to go with Chauncey Goldston. So I'm going to go back to the edge, and I'm going to go to Iowa to grab Chauncey Goldston. Let me just pull up there he goes. He's 6'5". He's 270 pounds. Another guy that might be coming in a little bit older. And that could be a reason why he's sliding a little bit. He did play, I think, 5 years at Iowa. So he's going to be a little bit older, but he's already a really good run defender at the edge. And we know that Ravens like taking chances on guys that they know they can at least get on the field early because they know he can do one thing really well. And I think he can come in right away and be the guy that holds up that edge, is a strong guy at the edge and can kind of seal it off. Now he's got to develop his pass rush game. I'm hoping that he can. They mentioned that he's not the most explosive, and he lacks a little bit of balance that could be key for him bending the edge. But he just seems like the type of guy that they would bring in and hope to develop those other areas of his game while getting him on the field on those early downs to help with the run defense. So I'm going to go Chauncey Goldston and hope you like it, Jason.
Yeah, I like Chauncey Golston. And I think this is going to be the range, kind of that, again, late 4th into the 5th round. He is a bigger guy, so he kind of fits that kind of profile the Ravens like on the edge. Just very solid, and I think he's going to be a long-time piece of wherever rotation he goes. I think, blue-collar type rusher, there's not going to be a whole lot he's going to do to wow you, but he's really productive and really effective. So I think that would be a good pick if you can get him there in the 5th.
Nice. All right, so let me see if I can keep up.
Man, we got a good one going here, Jimbo.
That's right. So I have with the 184. That's what we're at, right? Yeah, with 184, I'm going with, and I mentioned him as a hidden gem in our last show. I was looking at some tape. Noah Gray, tight end out of Duke. Ooh. I think he'll be there. And the reason I like him is because I think he pairs up well with Mark Andrews, and that he has some serious holes in his game. His size isn't great. He's 6'4", 240. It's funny to say that his size isn't great at 6'4", 240. It's ridiculous to think about. But he is an absolute salesman when it comes to route running. He has a lot of underneath stuff. But the reason I think that this guy has value is that he's great at working the middle field and feeling the zones. And what I think this does is that when it's 3rd and 8, when it's 3rd and 7, and 3rd and 9, you don't hear the entire defense saying, "Where's 89?" Mm-hmm. Because if this kid can start to make 3-4 those catches a game, 1 to 2 of those catches a game, it starts to change the dynamic of who you have to cover, who you have to look out for in the middle of the field. So he's a big body guy. I think he can win matchups against linebackers in the middle of the field. He's got good hands, and he's solid against the zone. I like this pick here. Noah Gray out of Duke, tight end.
Yeah, I think he's a day 3 guy. Again, if you like him in the 5th, definitely go there. He could also be there a little bit later. But he's another Senior Bowl guy who came in and, again, like you said, the physical traits aren't going to wow you, but just really solid as a receiver. He can block a little bit. So, if you want to work him into there and be part of a 2 tight end set, that's definitely within the realm of possibility. So, yeah, at 5', 184, you can definitely get him there.
Nice.
All right, you got your guy, man. I know you were talking on him for a little while now. I know you've been high on him.
Absolutely, yeah. And Glenn, I'm going to let you go next.
Why? You sound excited, like you got something up your sleeve here that you're going to shock the world. Man, my computer is not loading very well. But
all right, I'll go if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I'm just going to unload it, okay? Because I think this kid is ridiculously disrespected in this draft, and I think he's got serious potential in the NFL. Local kid with the 6th round pick, 210th pick in the draft, Jake Funk, running back out of Maryland.
I like it.
He's a jack of all trades, and I realize 6th round might be rich for this kid according to some of the mocks out there, but this kid has it all. He can do it all. And the thing I like about him is that I think that there's an opportunity, not that we don't have a lot of these guys already, there's an opportunity for him to do a little bit of slot stuff if we see it there. Obviously, he can do some scat back stuff. He can play special teams. I think he brings so much. He's an all-grit guy. He's a local guy. We've had tape on him. We've had eyes on him for a long time. So I want Jake Funk, local guy, Maryland, running back.
Go for it. He'll do a lot of things for you. He's got the speed too. Like you said, put him on special teams, give him a few carries, work him into that dynamic running game. Let's just go triple option.
Right. Look, we've done it.
Yeah, but I think the knock with Jake Funk is, I think he had a couple of ACL injuries like over the course of the past few years. So like got bit by the injury bug. But I think in the 6th round, you look for guys that can do a lot of different things for you. You got to maximize a roster spot, and you definitely got to maximize a draft pick. So I wouldn't have a problem with you taking him in the 6th round, not at all.
Nice. So I just want to read really quick. Give me a second here. I want to read a really awesome stat that kind of sold me on Jake Funk. If you bear with me one moment here.
Yeah, you don't have to sell Jake Funk to me. He's a Terp. I mean, I'm repping the Terps right now. Go. So, I'm a big Jake Funk guy.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I got you. Glenn. Okay, here we go. So as far as the running backs coming out of the draft, he's in the 63rd percentile for the dominator statistic, 98th percentile in yards per carry, 54th percentile as far as catch percentage, 68th percentile for 40 time, 82nd percentile for athletic burst, 97th percentile for agility, 66th percentile for bench. The kid's got it, man. I'm telling you what, the kid's got a lot of stuff going on, and I'm excited for it. I think he's an all-great guy. I think he'd be a great fit for our team. So anyway, Glenn, who you got?
Yeah, I'm going to finally address the safety position. We talked about as being kind of a dark horse need for the Ravens. Certainly need to add some depth there, and I think this guy brings that depth to not just the safety room, but also can provide a boost to the special teams. I'm going to go to Illinois State. The Redbird got me. I'm going to go Christian Uphoff, I think his name is.
That's him.
This guy has got all the size and speed. I mean, he looks like a big-time NFL safety. He's 6'3". He's 195 pounds. He's got the hips that you'd want. He's a smooth athlete. He can cover some tight ends. He can do. I think he's a little versatile in he can play in the box and he can play some back end. I think he's got the long arms you want. I mean, he likes to thump people, and like I said, he's an immediate help on special teams day one, and could turn into a heck of a darn good special teamer already in his rookie year. So if I'm getting him at 210 in the 6th round, I'm gonna be pretty happy. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, I like it. I think that would be a good pick there. Top safety voted by his teammates at the Senior Bowl. So I mean, I think that says a lot. He was actually the first player from Illinois State to ever go to the Senior Bowl. So you look at they scouted him. That the talent is definitely there, and I think in this safety class, 6th round for him would be a good pickup.
Nice, man. I went on a heater at the end, Jimbo. I started a little greedy in the first two, but man, I went on a heater there. All right, so
before Jason gives declares his winner, we'll go through our picks. But Glenn, I want to do this real quick. And if Jason, we're going to test your memory here. I want you to give Glenn who your favorite pick was, as far as like value and who excited you the most. I'll do the same. And then Jason, we want, if you can remember who we picked, we can run through them if you want us to, who your favorite pick was. But Glenn, who was your favorite guy on your board that you picked?
Well, it's not the guy that necessarily fills the biggest need or anything like that, but Trey Brown, the cornerback, just looks like a Raven. And I know he's undersized, but again, we don't have a problem with putting an undersized corner in the slot. And I love his competitiveness, his toughness. And I just think he would be a perfect Raven. So I like Trey Brown out of Oklahoma.
Nice. Mine's Quinn Miners, man. This kid, I watched some of his interviews and like got into some goofy stuff on YouTube. Man. Look, man, and he loves the game of football. I just think it's really cool to see where he's gone and from where he was to where he is today. I think it just speaks to his grit, his nastiness, his love for the game. I think he's one of those guys that if he wasn't going to be a football player, be like a quarry worker or like, something that just
a lumberjack.
Yeah, exactly. A lumberjack.
What axe needed, he just breaks them with his hands.
Yeah. What are those? What was it? The loggers that were on like the History Channel is a really dangerous job. Yeah, exactly. So that was my favorite one. I think he's a Raven for sure. But Jason, which pick was?
Let me just run it down. Let me run it down.
That way for me, we'll do the favorite pick, and then I'll pick the
winner. Okay, all right. So for me, I went Tevin Jenkins in the 1st round, Joe Tryon in round 2, Kendrick Green in round 3, Trey Brown in 4. I went Cornell Powell in round 5 and Chauncey Golston also in round 5, and then Christian Uphoff in the 6th round.
Nice. All right. So my picks were Jalen Phillips at round 1, Quinn Miners round 2, Brady Christensen round 3, Joshua Kindo round 4, and then in 5 with our 2 picks, I took Simi Fehoko out of Stanford, and then Noah Gray out of Duke, of course. And then with my last pick in the 6th, I took Jake Funk.
Yeah. So I'm gonna pick one from each. So I'm a trench guy. So Miners in the 2nd, and then Kendrick Green in the 3rd. That does it for me. Those are both in terms of need and value. I think those were great fits. So I would go with each one of those.
Nice. Now, what we want you to do here, Jason, no pressure, is
no pressure.
Just based on like not who you prefer, but like with the Ravens, what you know about the Ravens as far as accuracy's sake goes.
Yeah.
Who would you consider to be more accurate?
Okay, James, I'm gonna have to go with you just because of the value at the first. I don't think Tevin Jenkins is gonna get there. I think the Ravens, if they're okay with the medical and Jalen Phillips is there, I think they're gonna go BPA with that, even though it is a need too. So I think that would work out. And then Miners in the 2nd, that wins me over too.
Nice. It's funny because Glenn, if we could take the bottom half of your draft and the top half of mine.
Yeah, I think we'd have a winner there.
Yeah, absolutely. So
dang it, I got greedy with Tevin. I should have just went with the commenters and just went wide receiver. I mean, I think I could have went wide receiver every single round.
Yeah, you would have won the popular vote with the wide receiver.
People literally think we're no longer Ravens fans.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. It's brutal.
But you know what? It goes with what's there. Like for me, once you get past the top 3 guys, like I'm just kind of iffy on going wide receiver in the 2nd round just because the class is deep. I mean, I could go at 58 and get somebody. I could go at 104 and get somebody. And I know everybody wants a first-round wide receiver, but at the end of the day, like, what's the value there? Are we going to start being a wide-open offense there in Baltimore with Lamar just slinging it around? I mean, there you have a few younger wide receivers. You get Sammy Watkins for a year. I don't know what he gives you, but at the end, the ground game is what wins it for you. You get some guys out there that can do something. You hope these guys you drafted last year could develop, and you pick up a receiver like Cornell Powell. Like if we were to get him in the 5th round, he'll contribute. He'll come in and do some things for you. So I mean, it might be a committee approach, but that might work with the way the offense is structured.
Well, let me ask you while we have you here, because a lot of people are high on 2 guys in the 1st round. They're hoping that we go. It's either Terrace Marshall Jr. or it's Rashad Bateman. Tell the fans why you don't think they'll go with those 2 guys and why it's maybe not necessarily the best value at 27.
Because I don't think it's the best value. I think you're going to reach a little bit on both of those guys, even picking them at 27. I think they're better players on the board. And the other thing is you have to look at that within the context of your offense. Like, you want a first-round wide receiver, but is that how your offense is structured? That's to me it. I wouldn't.
And do you have a – oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I wouldn't go with a wide receiver until the 2nd if I'm Baltimore, if that's what I'm targeting.
If you had to pick one of those 2, say you're painted in a corner and you got to go with one of those 2. Do you have a preference?
I'd pick Bateman. I like Bateman a little bit better. Terrace Marshall was in the news cycle this week because there was some injury stuff that popped up from his past of a broken leg in high school, and then I think he had a foot surgery a couple of years ago. Didn't seem to affect him this past year, but there's just some things about Terrace Marshall that I didn't like on tape specifically. And, Bateman, I think, is more of a technician. And so as far as a route runner, Terrace Marshall has a little bit more wow in terms of ceiling, but I think Rashad Bateman would probably be a better fit in Baltimore.
Now, are you at all worried that by the time he gets to Baltimore, he'll lose another 2 inches in overall height?
Yeah, he's going to be 5'10" and 180, so he'll be perfect to jump in there with Duvernay,
with Marquise and
Marquise. Like he'll fit it. Like you'll stand them next to each other, and they're all just going to be right here. Right across.
Now let me ask you this: both Glenn and I took. Let's see, Glenn and I both took 2 linemen, right? Mm-hmm. And then we both took 2 edge defenders. different rounds, but in total, you're talking about 4 trench players out of 7 picks.
Yeah.
What do you think about that as far as the way you see the Ravens drafting? Do you think that number, at least like 4 out of 7, are most likely going to be trench guys based on what their needs are?
I think so. I mean, that's the way I went. I'll read my 7-round mock that I did last week. Okay. So I went Landon Dickerson in the first round at 27. Peyton Turner, who's the edge from Houston, at 58. Again, a bigger edge and one of those high motor guys, high character guys. Deontay Smith, a tackle out of East Carolina, who I think is going to be in that kind of comp range of between the 3rd and 4th round. So he could go in the 3rd. He could fall into the 4th a little bit. Cornell Powell after that with 131. And then Derek Forrest Jr., who's a safety out of Cincinnati at 171. Dalen Hayes, edge from Notre Dame at 184. And then KJ Britt, a linebacker out of Auburn. So, but 4 of those picks, like to your point, I've got 2 offensive linemen, 2 edge players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We got the wide receiver there. And again, Powell, I just think is a perfect fit as a Raven. He's not going to be the number 1 that you want. But, I mean, when you're working through all these guys, like, keep it going with what you have. Do what you do well. It's not a committee approach because you're not a passing offense. And so I think a 1 on a wide receiver who's not even – and the other thing you have to consider is that at the bottom of the first round, you're taking a 4th, a 5th, a 6th possibly of the receiver group.
Now let me – go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say there's a chance you could get a 1 or a 2 at any one of these other positions there at the bottom of the first round. So you have to consider that too in terms of the best player available.
Now, what about you talked about the top 3 wide receivers. I think we're getting real bad feedback.
Yeah, okay, there it goes.
Okay, cool, it's gone. So, are there any of them that you see, maybe not falling to 27, but are there one of them that, like, everyone's talking about Devontae and his size and Weddle might be raw, things like that. Are there one of them that you see at least falling? Once again, it would be extremely, wishful of us to think that one of them are going to fall to 27, but do you see one of them potentially taking a fall on draft day?
Of those 3, I don't really see it. I think one of them maybe could get into the teens. I was on a podcast the other day and we did a roundtable mock and Waddle was sitting there for me to pick at 16 for the Cardinals. So, I mean, it just kind of, that was how the board fell. But I think the last one at the very worst would go at that 15, 16 range. I don't.
If the Cardinals get Waddle, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah, that's an embarrassment of riches there. My goodness. Holy smokes. Well, how about this? Is there a guy in the 2nd round at 58 that you could see being there? Because at wide receiver seems like the one, the guys that, everyone wants to talk about. Is there a guy at 58 that you would feel comfortable taking that would also fit the needs of the Ravens?
Yeah, actually, the one, and I saw somebody in the comments, Diami Brown, North Carolina, who he might not be a 1, but he's going to be a vertical threat for you. Just send him down the field. And he just gets past everybody. And like, I like him in that range of a 2nd round. There's some folks that like him a little bit higher, but I think, where he's going to end up being at is going to be in the 2nd round. He's not a huge size guy. I think he's only like 6'1", 198 or 189. So, I mean, he's kind of average size, but I like him. Another guy I would like is Amon-Ra St. Brown out of USC, you can line him up anywhere in the formation and he can do work for you. So, I mean, he's, again, not a size guy, but those 2 right there in the 2nd, 3rd round range, I think would be good fits for the Ravens.
Yeah, and Diami is a guy we were just talking about when we opened this show. I finally watched tape on him. It's like the more I watched, the more I liked of him. It seemed like a perfect guy that could, like you said, be that down the field threat. That would be a guy I'd be very happy to see the Ravens take. And if he's there at 58, there's a possibility they could go with him. No doubt about it.
Well, Jason, we appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on. We're excited. We're going to be there live draft night. Hopefully you got some awesome plans draft night. You might be locked up in your draft bunker watching it with some chips or something. But thanks for coming on, man. And then as always, make sure you guys go check out DraftPlex.
Yeah, if you want the most accurate draft analysis, you go see DraftPlex. I mean,
don't go anywhere else.
Don't go anywhere else. Turn off NFL Network. I mean, if you want accuracy, you talk to Mr. Jason Pruett over at DraftPlex, and he'll win you your mock draft competitions. There's no doubt about it.
That's right. Thanks, Jason. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Cool.
Well, I just want to address a couple things because, man, the commenters beating us up about wide receiver. And I understand that we all want that number one. I just want to explain as to why I decided to not go receiver early. And the simple reason is when I look at the additions that they've made, we already talked about they don't cut recent draft picks. The Ravens just don't do it, okay? They're not going to cut Miles Boykin. As much as we are disappointed in his production, he's not going anywhere. He's a guaranteed guy. And right now there are already between him, Duvernay, Prochet, Hollywood, and of course Sammy Watkins. They just brought. There's already 5 locks. There's many years the Ravens only keep 5 receivers, and at most they keep 6. Just one more spot available. And let me remind people that they do have the futures in Deion Kane and Ben Victor. So
right,
if either one of them hits, the room is full. So I'm still predicting that they do add one to the group, which would mean that Deion Kane and Ben Victor will be released and at best on the practice squad, which they can, of course, be plucked by anyone. But I just don't see in this draft, like he mentioned, there's only a handful of guys, and all the first round talents will be gone long before the Ravens pick. And then the next crop will all be gone before they pick again at 58, outside of maybe De'Ami Brown, who, by the way, I would be happy if they picked him because I just watched him, and I think he would be the thing we're missing is that deep ball threat on the outside, and he would fill that need. But let's just review history. I mean, even when the Ravens took Lamar Jackson, the receiver room wasn't anything to write home about. Well, they didn't take a receiver in that round despite having a ton of picks until the 4th round. They took Jaleel Scott. He's no longer with us. And then the 5th round, they got Jordan Lastly, also no longer with us. So outside of the 2019 draft, when they took a receiver in Marquise Brown and Miles Boykin in rounds 1 and 3, that's kind of the only round where they've taken high receivers. So again, this mock was supposed to be directed for accuracy.
Yeah.
So this is what I think the Ravens will do. I don't think that they'll go after any of these guys that they don't, unless they have their board is set up, and this is possible too. If their board looks completely different than all the many different sources I look to for player rankings and help with my trying to get an accurate mock draft, it wouldn't line up value-wise for them to take any of those guys at 27 because all the ones that would are already going to be gone. So I just wanted to, it's not that we don't want them to get the number one wide receiver for Lamar Jackson. I would love a guy who we know can beat one-on-one coverage on the outside when they load the box and try and stop the run. But I'm just going off of what I think that the Ravens will do.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And I can't wait till draft night, man. I'm really looking forward to it. I had a little bit of fun with the Jake Funk pick. Of course, he was on Good Morning Football, got me all fired up. And so I'm excited to see what happens to him. I think both of us, we got some good picks in there. Mm-hmm. I really want us to get Quinn Miners now. I mean, it's bad. I think he's my new Cesar Ruiz.
I think he's now taken over as my number 2
at center.
Yeah, and it's funny you took him. I was this close to taking him at 58, and the only reason I didn't is because I took an offensive lineman in the first round,
right? And
I felt like we had to address the edge. And after the second round, I mean, it's it gets a little bit tough there. So I went after Joe Tryon because he was available when I did mine, and I tried to make it as accurate as possible. And I'm a little upset that I weren't
able to squeeze him in there somewhere.
Yeah, because I agree with the only knock I've seen on him is that he doesn't have a bunch of tape against high level talent, but
except the
time exactly the one time he did see high level talent, he dominated them all. Yeah. I mean, he absolutely bullied them and had guys on their backside. So yeah, I would be thrilled if they got that guy, and I love the positional versatility. But I think Kendrick Green, who I picked in the next round, is very
guy, right?
similar. Yeah, very similar in that he has left guard center ability, and then it would be exciting to see if they finally give Bozeman a true shot at that center position, who ends up winning and who ends up where.
Right. The real question is, does your guy have the belly of the beast?
No, he does not. Well, I think he does. He probably just doesn't show it off very often. But and as somebody just pointed out, Liberal Soldier points out that the OBJ trade
could change everything, right?
It's going to change everything, and I think it's only a matter of time before it's announced, because it has to happen either draft night or before, and I think it happens before. But if they imagine if they had another first round pick, I mean, that just changes everything that what they do. If they had, even if they had a second and an extra third or something, that changes everything. Then you could maybe go get one of those receivers you're talking about, because then you're picking more at the top end of the second round rather than all the way down at 58. Now, if you're picking at mid 40s and Bateman or Terrace Marshall Jr. are still there, I think they have a shot at taking them. I just don't think they can take them at 27, and I don't think they'll be there at 58.
Yeah, agree with you 100%. I had an absolute blast tonight. I can't wait. Like you said, OBJ will be on the lookout for that move being made. I agree with you that it's only a matter of time. We're looking forward to the draft. Make sure you guys stay tuned, stay up to date.
Watch us live on the draft night. Come here with us.
Come one, come all. We'll be there, ready for some fireworks. Hopefully, we'll have 2 first-round picks. Not that I want Orlando to be gone, but
it would make for an exciting draft, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. So make sure you guys stay tuned in. We're going to do some shout-outs here, right, Glenn?
Yeah, absolutely.
I saw Tanja Bowman in here, Jay Bird, Charles Bowie,
something like that. Justin
Donovan
Roberts.
Sales.
Oh yeah, Tim F. He was giving me a lot of love in the comments, so thanks, Tim F. I didn't get a ton tonight, so I'll appreciate the love I did get. Adam78 always in here with us.
Yep.
We appreciate it. I think you mentioned Donovan Sales. He's always here. Crystal Raven. I think she stuck up for us a little bit in there. I appreciate it. And if it's Crystal can also be a male's name, right? I think I did meet one. So I do apologize if I'm misrepresenting you there. But thanks to everyone who watched, everyone who commented, even the ones that were tough on us. We understand it's just coming from a place of passion, including King, who always
is tough on us.
Yeah, always tends to disagree with us, but we appreciate him nonetheless. And all the ones who didn't comment and just watch silently, we appreciate you as well. And we'll be getting back on here pretty soon, right, Jim?
Yeah, we'll be back soon because we're going to be doing our full first round draft. Like I said before, last year we got 15 out of 32 right. We're hoping to improve that this year. So make sure you tune in with us. We'll do the first round in its entirety. But without any further ado, we'll talk to you guys soon.
See you.